All right, so the next video I'll react to is by Kyle Cook, who runs the super successful Dev Simplified channel with 1.7 million subscribers, where he's teaching front-end development to mostly new developers. And of course, he argues in this video that AI doesn't threaten software developer jobs. Oh, you'll still be needed as a front-end developer. And his main argument is the classic, oh, we've seen this before. WordPress didn't kill dev jobs, and Wix didn't either, and then AI is just the next tool. And I get why this sounds reasonable, but I feel it completely misses the one thing that actually matters, that is like the size of the pie of, we used to call it man hours in software development. How much or how many front-end developers are needed, going forward. And Kyle is looking at this like, okay, tools come along, some jobs go away, and then new jobs appear, and everything balances out. And, that was true for WordPress and for Wix and Squarespace, but that really mostly worked because the pie kept getting bigger. So if you look back to, when it comes to WordPress, early 2000s, most businesses didn't have a website. And then WordPress shows up and suddenly, you could at a reasonable price get your business a website, but you still needed somebody to, build it, expand it, maintain it, host it. So WordPress created an enormous business that was not there before. And a lot of jobs for web devs, including other technologies that made it easier to build websites. The pie was growing. And the same thing happened, in my opinion, with things like Wix or Squarespace. If you look at their commercials, they're aimed like at the super small businesses or freelancers or people who just sell soaps or whatever. And those people didn't have a website maybe in 2010, even 2015. But then with these new tools, suddenly people realize, okay, I don't want to just sell on Facebook or eBay or Etsy or whatever. I want to have my own website. So this grew the pie again by creating this whole new market for more people who wanted websites, who wanted front-end design, who needed that web dev that would maintain these sites. So he argues, okay, AI is just the next thing, and this is where I feel this breaks, because AI doesn't just make development faster. It removes the need for this technical middleman that helps a non-technical person write a nice-looking website. Apart from the fact that it's so much faster and it can crank out like really nice-looking designs like that. And then you tell it in plain English, okay, I want the carousel to look different, or I want this font or this font size to be different, and it does it all for you. You don't need this middleman in between anymore. So now a non-techie who maybe before had to have their web developer to maintain their site, and they had to email them, hey, can you do this for me? Can you post this new blog article on my site? Can you add my latest promotions to my site? They can do that with AI. So now you have like, okay, more people want websites, or like really anybody who wants a website probably already has one, but maybe is paying a lot per month, including to their web dev freelancer. And now they can say, hey, wait a second, I can do it now myself using AI. Companies that integrate AI into the workflow, so people don't even need to come up with the prompts, but they'll have a nice interface that they can interact with, just like with ChatGPT, to maintain and change their website. So to me, it's clear that shrinks the pie enormously. Kyle even says that himself, sort of accidentally. He says, oh, simple apps are replaced, simple sites replaced by AI. And yeah, we're talking here mostly about the kind of sites that his channel helps people build or helps people learn how to build for other people. And that's not a small segment. That was a massive chunk of front-end web dev work, especially if you look at it globally. And then next he goes into that fallback argument. So new jobs will appear where web devs help explain AI to other people. But, to me, the question is always like, how many? And AI companies are making it easier and easier and easier to use AI. And they're building these special tools that integrate AI to help people use it and build stuff with it. And take it from somebody who the last 2-3 years has been trying to build tools that help people leverage AI. And then by the time you're halfway done with the tool, AI companies already, incorporated into their offerings. It's like Microsoft during those times when it would just look at any software that was successful and would put it into Windows or start selling it themselves or whatever. And Google did the same thing. Now it's like on steroids with AI. Then the rest of the arguments that he goes into here, that web development is like way more complex. You can't trust a non-techie person with it, and you have to know security issues and how to scale it and everything. And apart from the fact that all this can be baked into standard tools, because the challenges are very similar for all the public-facing websites out there in general. Again, a non-techie can ask AI, here, can you analyze my website? Here's the source code that I don't quite understand. Can you explain to me if it's scalable, if it has security issues? And AI will tell it straight. Unlike maybe that freelance dev that you hired on Fiverr or Upwork, who will not tell you how shoddy the code is that they've written. And we've had some very hilarious, examples of vibe-coded apps where people put in their personal information and it was like all immediately public, and those were horribly insecure systems. And very often it wasn't actually the people who ran the sites who built the site using AI, but it was people outsourcing building, and then you had some clueless, technical person, maybe abroad, throwing out prompts at AI, not knowing what they were doing. And I always come back to that you do need, the more complex your site gets, the more it gets beyond just a simple, showcase site, the more you still need that very well-versed, technical person who can write the exact technical specs and prompts that give you that good, secure site. But given that AI then can build that site, within minutes, and then when there are cosmetic changes, that those can be done by AI, and you don't even need the developer in the loop anymore. So that to me means, Kyle's really reaching for straws here, that it won't affect the web development market. And no, it's not another tool, like he says. To me, that's like if you imagine a robot, that can cook you a 5-course meal in your kitchen, and then saying, oh, that's just another tool like your air fryer or your blender or whatever. It's just a completely different thing. AI can do so much autonomously, where before you still had humans using the tool. So stepping back and looking at the core premise of the video here, how many developers are needed relative to how much work exists. I would say, going forward with AI, individuals can build their own stuff. Businesses need fewer devs, and devs are like 5 to 10 times more productive. Then the pie shrinks enormously. And Kyle completely sidesteps that because he wants to keep selling his courses, and he wants to keep his viewership for his entry-level web dev explainer videos. Another one of my rant videos here. I hope I have explained well enough why I don't feel that AI is just another tool. And I feel like I'm only stating the obvious here. But in future videos, I'll tackle more in-depth argumentation. So like and subscribe if you want to see more of this kind of different way of looking at AI's effect on the software industry. Not total, AI hype, AI will replace all developers, but also not, all software dev jobs are safe, but, actually looking at the dynamics, how they might play out. And actually, I think there's a lot of inertia in the system. So just because something is true, that will not have effect immediately. So if you are in front-end development right now, that doesn't mean your job goes away tomorrow. But we have to look at, okay, what's going to happen to this pie of work that was providing so many careers in the past. And with this, I'll wrap it up here, and I see you in my next video.